Tell 'em.
Private Sub Live. I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one because I think you understand more what we're doing than I do at this point.
So Justin and I, with a friend of mine who's a big podcast producer, we're going to launch a podcast probably next month sometime, where the topic that the podcast is going to be based on real life true crime events, like everything from the Menendez murders to O.J. Simpson, but we're gonna focus on real life crime events that were Hollywoodized and turned into movies, and then we're gonna invite people on from Hollywood to discuss what changes were made and what was real in the movie and not. Like we can analyze like the Netflix series The Watcher, which happened in a town right next door to where I grew up, and we were going to talk about what changes were made for TV or for the movie compared to what really happened. And then we're also going to bring people on, everything from like victims' families, to discuss maybe their displeasure with it and why things were changed or Hollywoodized, or what they're happy about. But we think that there's a really cool thing there to go into. You know, one of the things that brought it up is we all know that the Petito family was not happy with the Lifetime project that was made about Gabby. So, and you know, what a lot of people don't know is sometimes Hollywood just barrels through and makes these things without consulting with the victims. So, and like, you know, even what I'm doing right now with my hazing stuff, I don't work on any case unless the family blesses it. But most people aren't like that. And so I think people would be shocked to learn of all of the movies that are made, or TV series now that are made on real life crime events that weren't blessed by the actual families. So
there's a lot of those.
Could be an interesting angle. And so I'm on the Hollywood side to talk about that, and Justin's on the true crime side.
And we also talked about the idea of a case. I don't know if we're still going to do this, of bringing actors on or people from that and having them like give them a case and let them discuss it, like if they have one that they like or something like that.
Like even to find out what was real or not real. Like I don't know if you guys know who The Driver Era is. I've been working with The Driver Era. Our concert film comes out this weekend, but it's basically Ross Lynch, who started out in Austin and Alley. But a lot of people don't know, a few years ago, Ross Lynch played Jeffrey Dahmer in a series. And he really channeled Jeffrey Dahmer. And there were some parts of that series that were shot in the actual places where Dahmer abducted or murdered victims, but he channeled Dahmer. So it might be interesting to do something where we bring like Ross in to talk about how he went from being a Disney kid to trying to channel one of the, you know, sickest human beings ever to walk the earth, and what was real and not real, and where did he take creative freedom on playing Dahmer. And then we could bring in like a Dahmer victim. You had a good idea. Was Debbie Harry a Dahmer person?
But that was Bundy.
Oh, Bundy. Okay. I'm
going to do that video. I'm going to do that video in a couple days. I'm working on it now, which is why I was trying to figure out how to do video editing, because I want to do little things where they spin the pictures and fade. I have no clue what the hell I'm doing, so it's fine. I'm probably not going to be able to do what I want to do, but nevertheless, I'm going to probably launch that one in a couple days.
We came up with a list of like 30 movies that were made, everything from like Son of Sam. We were coming up with all the greatest like true crime movies. If you guys have any suggestions or ideas what you'd like us to do, we're gonna start out. We're gonna crank out 10 shows in the next couple of weeks. We're gonna put them in the bag before we launch. And so, if you guys have any ideas or requests for specific cases for us to cover, let us know.
Here's one that's not exactly crime, but kind of crime. I was thinking about this one today, and I was going to message you, but since we're here, what Schindler's List?
And you go for all the easy subjects, don't you?
Do what?
I said you go for all the easy subjects, don't you? By the way, Justin is utterly obsessed with Tupac and Biggie.
They're aware. They're aware. But here's the thing: there are still a handful of Holocaust survivors alive, and their stories to get them recorded are super important. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Son of Sam on the list. Is there any part of the Amityville horror movies that are real?
Yeah, no, I think it is based on a true story.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We didn't think about that. That is based on real.
Is that real? That's based on a real story?
Hold on.
I know Amityville, I think is. What was the list you sent me? Pull it up again. There's some great ones.
The plot is largely fictional, but the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from '74 was marketed as being based on a real event to attract a wider audience.
This is what we're going to break down too for you guys. We're going to talk about when people write books or there's movies that come out. We're going to talk about the difference between based on a real story or a true story. Hollywood uses trick terms on how to lead people into believing. If something just says based on a true story, this thing could be 99% fiction. And that's what people understand. So one of the things we want to do is take some of these real life crime events, break them down, and talk about what was real, not real, and what things were loosely based on it, how they took creative freedom. But I think it could be pretty badass.
Well, apparently it was loose. I guess it was based on it, and it said Ed Gein, the serial killer Ed Gein, made furniture from human body parts and created a mask from human skin. So,
all right, wow.
He claims that he only killed 2 people, and the rest were from grave desecration.
Wow.
So yes, that's true.
Who's around still, like, so we can get family members or
if any of the, I mean, that movie came out in '74. That's a long time ago. But if there's anybody left from that's still working.
But even like showing, I always find, and look, I obviously I'm in Hollywood, but I always found it really interesting, like when you see like the Manson murders or whatever, and you start to, I always end up, whenever I see anything true crime, I always Google and I try to see like the real crime scene or how things were different or, what the real characters looked like. I always love at the end of movies sometimes that they're based on a real story when they show the pictures of the real characters. Don't you love when they do that? So it might be kind of cool to invite the real characters, the people who these, who some of the, some of the roles were based after, to come on and talk about, what really happened and if they were happy or not with the film and maybe what they would have done differently.
Well, Exorcist is based on a real story.
Oh yeah, Gypsy Rose. We talked about Gypsy Rose for sure.
Oh, good God, that one.
She's actually speaking out now. If you guys know, like whoever owns the house where she killed her mom, they're giving tours, I think. And
she's gotten real quiet in the last couple of days because the crime scene photos were released and it doesn't look good on her.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Yeah, because apparently Dee Dee was nearly decapitated.
How did they get released? Did someone Public Information Act request or?
I have no idea. I don't know how they got out, but they're out. Oh yeah, West Memphis 3. People like that one, so let's do that.
I didn't know about Gypsy Rose though. That's big news. I've been asleep at the wheel. I haven't been keeping up with my Justin on TikTok updates.
Okay. I didn't do a video on it, so you're good.
Oh, all right. Well, then why didn't you? That's a big story. Why didn't you do a video on that?
Because a lot of people have already done videos on it. So,
what's the latest? What have I missed the past 48 hours?
Well, we just had a thing where tonight a 13-year-old girl went missing because a 25-year-old violent sex offender took her.
I have the best story for you.
But she was found, so that's good.
I got to send you the video. So the other night, it's like midnight. I live in a very quiet neighborhood. And my fucking Ring doorbell's going off at 11:45. And I'm like, who the hell is this? So I look on my phone and there's a little girl at my front door holding like 2 big stuffed animals. And I'm like,
that's not creepy.
And then I go, hello. And she's like, hello. I'm a young girl. I ran away from home. I need you to let me in the house. And so I said, I'm sorry, who are you? She was like, I'm a little girl. You hurry up, please let me in. I ran away from home. I said, why did you run away from home? And then she's looking behind her back and she goes, let me in and I'll tell you. So I'm thinking like, okay, is this like one of those home invasion things where if I open the fucking door, then 4 guys in ski masks jump out? So I didn't know what the hell to do. So then I like say, hold on. So I go on my computer. I'm going on my other security cameras because I have other cameras around my house. I'm looking to see if there's anybody outside in the bushes and nothing. So the girl keeps ringing the doorbell. So then I run upstairs and my wife and my son were awake. And I said, there's a little girl outside. Then she ran away. We're like, what? And then we kind of go downstairs and I look out the front door and she's hiding under the bench on my porch. So we're like, wow. So I open the door and then sure enough, she comes running in. She's tougher than nails, but she won't really tell us anything. And so I wake my daughter up, because I thought maybe my daughter could connect with her. And she wouldn't really tell us why she ran away, but she was 8. Well, 8-year-old, you understand, like, I live, like, borderline to Serengeti out here. Like, there's, like, coyotes, everything. And, like, you know, houses. What the hell is that? Oh, I'm sorry. I had a bug on my head. But, you know, there's, you know, this isn't like you don't want an 8-year-old walking around at midnight. And so we called the cops. So the cops came. They rolled in heavy. Apparently, she was reported missing like an hour earlier. And we found out it was like her 4th time running away. She moved here from Colorado. So it happened once in Colorado and 3 times here. But she walked like a mile. So I know the street she lived on. And they held her here and they were talking to her for a while to try to determine whether she was being abused. Like something wasn't up. When I got
something's going on. When
I let the cops in, she was sitting down with my daughter on the couch and she like freaked out and like dove behind the couch. I have video. I don't want to post it because I want to show her face, but
yeah,
so creepy, but it was so sad. I'm like, what is going on here? And the only thing I could think of was like Gabby Petito or something. That I'm like, hey, we have this girl here. What if something what if something is really going on with this girl? Because why would an 8-year-old run away 4 times?
Yeah, and be that terrified.
By the way, it's not HBO. It's A&E. It's Secrets, and we kind of worked on that. Someone said HBO is doing a documentary. That's sorority and frats. Yeah, it's a Secret series. They actually offered it to us. We turned it down because you'll see it's coming out in 3 weeks. It's more about the act of hazing. It's very A&E, put it that way. We're more on the human interest side of it, but we're aware of that project, and I know everybody that worked on it. And by the way, please watch it and get a good rating because it'll help us out. So that was our night, and they didn't leave like till 2 a.m. It was super weird. The entire time, like God, I should be FaceTime with you because you would have it was super weird.
That is weird.
Yeah,
you didn't tell me about any of this, but I guess, you know, I had talked to you in a couple of days.
It was bizarre. And and the weird thing was the police said to us, hey, is it okay if we share your information with her parents in case they want to thank you? And we're like, of course, please, because imagine if that little girl showed up at some freakazoid's house at midnight, like some child molester. That would have been like a dream. An 8-year-old girl just shows up at a front door and knocks on something, Guy would have been like, yeah, come on right in. Scary because when we drove to where her street was, and it's like a mile away. So this girl was like walking, carrying like a bag and all these stuffed animals at midnight. Super weird.
It's terrifying.
And so, but I'm shocked that the police took her home without having a social worker come.
I'm not. That's what they do, unfortunately. And she probably, if something is going on, then it probably was bad that night.
What we were at, they were asking her, why'd you run away? And she's like, I don't want to tell you guys.
A happy, well-adjusted 8-year-old doesn't run away.
You're right. And so the whole thing was just bizarre. And so, we went down to that street to try to figure out what house it was. Super bizarre, the whole thing. So that was like my true crime encounter the other night. So I hope she's okay. I don't what the hell. Why the cops would just bring her back, especially if she had a pattern of doing that. But it's weird. You would have thought the parents would have called us. Like if my daughter ran away and some people let her in and ended up finding her for me, you think they would call and thank us.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So that
apologize for inconvenience. I'm so sorry that she rang your doorbell at midnight or something like that,
You got to see the email. And then when she came in, I'm like, okay, can you tell me what's going on? She's like, no. And I said, well, I thought we had a deal that if I let you in, you're going to tell me. And she's like, why would I tell you? I'm like, well, you're in my house. And I go, we're worried about you. We want to see how you're doing. And she's like, no, I'm okay. And of course, my son, I have a young son, and he's like, can we keep her? I'm like, Dylan, because why she came here? I'm like, Dylan, you just can't keep a kid that shows up at your front door. No,
you can't. You can't keep other people's children. Yeah, when I go pick up my daughter from preschool, there was this one kid. I would have adopted this kid in a second, and I can tell you about. I'll tell you a story real quick since we're here. Basically, what happened was his mom was in a really bad car accident. Okay. And she had a lot of brain shearing, and she's at a facility in Florida. She's back to maybe 50%. But this kid, he had a little brother too, who doesn't remember his mom at all at this point. Dad stopped letting him FaceTime the mom. So there were other parents that were trying to do that for him. He's still married to that woman, or to the mom, but he's already had a baby with another woman at this point, and he refuses to divorce her. I'm guessing that he's probably getting a pretty hefty check every month for her disabilities that he doesn't want to lose. Plus, she's in Florida, and if he divorces her, then her parents will get POA and be able to bring her back up to the local area, and he probably doesn't want that either. Anyways, this kid would constantly want to go home with Alyssa and I. All right, and when we asked him, like, so when we were there for, like, there was a little Christmas party, and his parents were the only ones that didn't show up, as usual. His dad, nobody was there. And so Alyssa and I were talking to him, and we're like, well, hey, what do you want for Christmas? He was like, I want you guys to be my parents. Oh. And I'm like, I love this little kid. He was awesome. I was like, well, we can't do that. It's called kidnapping, and I think we can't do that. But anyways, it's a really kind of messed up situation.
I just realized I meant to call you. I saw your update yesterday. What is this crazy shit? And I'm sure you guys have already hashed this out, so I'm late to the party on this.
With JP.
With JP, what? How much? Okay. How much should he pay the family? That is the weirdest shit. Why was it settled? I thought. I mean, especially, doesn't it feel kind of early to be settling anything? Like, I mean,
not necessarily. So here's what I've explained to the people. I don't know how much legal type civil issues that you've ever been into, but what I can tell you this, and I'll tell you this from the Petito standpoint, actually. So there was a lawsuit going on with the Laundries and Gabby's family, and Joe was like, there is no amount of money that I will ever settle for with these people. And come to find out, it wasn't really about money. It was about information. There was information that Joe wanted and needed, the family needed, in order for them to be able to move forward. And there were certain items that they needed to move forward, which once they got all of that, they were willing to settle. Now, I don't know what the parameters of this settlement were.
Now they're not allowed to talk about them at all or anything. I mean, it's
that's part of it. But if they got what they needed out of it, whatever that might be, like, he gets control of the estate. Yeah, I hope that they did too. And the thing is, I reached out to both of them afterwards, and I told them essentially almost the same thing. I told the Francis family a little more than I said to JP, but I basically said, hey, congratulations on what appears to be an amicable settlement between all parties. I know that y'all's next goal basically is to try to change the laws of South Carolina. What can I do to help? I don't want to know anything about the settlement. It's none of my business. I couldn't report on it anyways. But it's at the end of the day, I don't know what the details were of this, but let's be real, Dan. You know how this goes. JP's got more assets. He's got more funds. He's got more liquidity. He could drag this out for years and bankrupt.
How does he have assets and funds? I mean, his church can't be doing that well right now. Are people
his assets between the church and all the properties, the vehicles, everything they owe in cash reserves, it's about $5 million.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus. See, I thought, I didn't know if he doesn't own the church himself, does he?
He does. He owns the church, and he also has parts ownership in a local bar that's primarily cash only down there.
Oh. Because I can't imagine the church being packed right now, is it?
I understand that it's not.
I mean, it's got to be pretty awkward going to the services now.
Well, he's not been preaching, so
it still has to be awkward if it's his church. Then I mean,
the people who were going there are still going there supporting him. So
wow,
I got no words on that, but
I don't know. I was just so shocked to see that update last night. I was like, really? I mean, that kind of came out of left field because we thought everybody was gearing up to go to World War III. We thought not only they're going to be a massithis civil suit, but we thought obviously there could be criminal charges, whatever.
Well, the FBI stuff is still pending. This only impacts civil suits.
I know. So maybe they know something bigger's coming. They want to get the civil stuff out of the way because if you went down criminally, they would never you wouldn't settle civilly. Maybe.
Did you see the latest Diddy updates?
That whole fucking thing. I mean, every day there's crazy shit with that.
Okay,
today I saw.
So Keefe D, through his attorney, they filed like some odd page document where it outlines certain things, including the fact that Diddy paid $1 million to assassinate Suge and Pac, but that after it all went down, they got paid $500,000 because Pac was the only one killed.
Well, that should be easy to prove, right? I mean, there's got to be bank transfers or something.
There has to be. So that's what he's saying, although sources close to the case say that there's no open or pending investigation, and Diddy vehemently denies it. Although, let's be real, Keefe D and Diddy have both been known to bend the truth.
Well, obviously something's going down though with Diddy right now. I mean,
oh well, yeah, Diddy's going. Yeah, you don't this. Well, you're from that area. You know, the Southern District of New York. They have if they get their eyes set on you, they're like a 95 or 96% conviction rate.
Oh, it's like 99.
It's high. It's like if you don't want them going after you, especially doing bi-coastal raids on your home.
Yeah, you're cooked. If you know, but that's like the whole thing when you get down to the Trump stuff. People trying to defend him. It's like the odds are he's guilty because they don't file charges against anybody in the Southern District unless they have a rock solid case.
No, you know I won't touch the Trump stuff, but
well, the funny thing, you'll touch Diddy or Pac and Biggie.
Yes, because
what I know. So I'll be very clear with you because I've always told you I know a lot of people that are sort of around that. Like I'm not in the rap world, but obviously I work with a lot of artists and a lot of managers and people I work
dangerous people.
Work with. There are people in those circles that have been rumored to know what really went down there, and they're not so nice people, and people that have kind of snooped around have not been met with nice responses.
No, I don't want to snoop around. I'm ready for the court system to do whatever the court system's going to do. I'm not going to go I don't want to have some underground meeting with Suge Knight or something like that. I know I joke with you about it, but I'm not really serious about it because you've scared the shit out of me when it comes to him. So
there's a few things I don't mess with.
but to answer your other question, yes, I will talk about Diddy and Suge and Tupac and Biggie because they're not political figures that would alienate 50% of my base of fans one way or the other.
You know, but there's ways of talking about things that shouldn't be political.
Oh, I do. Well, here's the thing. Even when
I feel like I'm apolitical. I'm like, I try very hard not to be Democrat or Republican and just do what's right. And look, I wasn't happy with, with Biden. I thought he should have stepped out a long time ago. And
we haven't talked about that. I'll have to call you. We got to talk about all of the new stuff because we haven't talked about all that.
At the end of the day, it's like people should be able. I feel like people shouldn't be scared to talk about things that are going on with our country. By the way, my buddy James, he was in State Department,
and he went away.
No,
and you're back.
Let's try to check my text. What's going on, James? My buddy was in the State Department. Just text something happened in Iran just now.
Oh yeah, no, that happened a couple hours ago. One of the Hamas leaders was killed, assassinated.
Boy.
No, I will touch issues, but I try to be as non-biased as I can. But even when I'm being non-biased, people still take that as bias.
Yeah. Well, some people are so passionate about it, you can't,
No, you're confusing the word passionate for stupid.
When we're alone, we have great conversations, guys. Oh, shit.
Because some people think that you mention either one of the candidates, you're either for them or against them, and that you're either attacking them or you're praising them. And sometimes it's like, hey, here's the information. I'm just giving you the information. Formulate whatever opinions you want to formulate from this.
Yeah.
But a lot of people lack critical thinking skills. You've heard me say it before. George Carlin once said, think about how stupid the average person is, and remember that 50% of the people are dumber than that.
True. So am I meeting you in am I coming up your way? I'll be in Nashville on Monday.
Okay, well then yeah, are we hashing something out?
Well, I'll be there for a couple weeks, so.
Did your offer on your house get accepted?
Not that one, no.
You're still looking?
I'm not. No, I mean, I'll tell you about this other place I want. So we'll see.
Okay. Is it closer?
No, same area as the other one. I'm hell bent on that area.
I know you are. And I'm hell bent on getting you up here. Just come look.
You know why I don't want to live in your area? Because the only restaurants up there are like fucking Fridays and Chili's and stuff. Like
that's not true.
Well, you guys like the restaurants and stuff are nicer down in the Franklin and
Okay, that is true, but just come up here when you're here.
I am.
Just come up here.
I am.
I'll take you to dinner, and I'll show you all the cool places that you can go that are within golf cart distance.
McDonald's, Wendy's, Chick-fil-A.
No, it's not fucking McDonald's, and I mean, yes, there is McDonald's, but yes, it's not just McDonald's. But that's because McDonald's.
By the way, I love your neighborhood. Your neighborhood's stunning. I love that. All those houses on the lake, you know. But the problem
one could be yours for phenomenal.
You are to go to my office will take me 40 minutes.
As Kyler would say, one of those houses could be yours for a phenomenal fee.
So, well, by the way, there's some great houses I'm seeing in your area. I love it. It's just
you get more for your money too.
I live in LA, right? So I live south of LA. So right now, I'm going up to LA tomorrow because we have to deliver the driver error show. So it'll take me an hour and a half to 2 hours to get in the office. And then later on the night, it'll take me 2 to 3 hours to get home. So I'll be in the car for 4 to 5 hours tomorrow.
His commute is 10 minutes, guys. Or his commute is 10 miles. 10 miles.
So you're like, if I live by you, it'll take me 40 minutes to get to Music Row, right? 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
You're still saving like 2 hours, 3 hours a day.
But if I'm in Brentwood, it'll take me 15.
Well, it sounds like
I've never lived 15 minutes away from things in my life. I'll be 15 minutes from the airport. I'll be 15 minutes from work. So I just, that's why I'm focusing on that area because I want.
Is your new office in a high rise?
No, we have a standalone building on Music Row.
Is it big enough for a helipad?
No, we have our own lot though, but we're right on 17th, right by Belmont, almost at the end on 17th South. And so, but we're right in the middle of Music Row.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like an old craftsman house. It's one of
I know exactly the area you're talking about.
It's very Music Rowish, and so that's where I'm going to build the podcast studio in there as well.
I thought you're building that in your house.
I'm going to do both. I'm going to have one in my house, but I'm going to have the real one there because if we do other stuff with the company, we can other people can use it. I'm not going to let people come to my house. The house is more for me if I'm lazy.
Fair.
I started. I have the mixer and stuff. I just never hooked any of the shit up. I don't know how to do it.
You did, but look, this is the mixer that I guess you're going to get some, but this is the mixer that you need. That's what you need.
But your mic could be better though.
My mic could be better.
Sometimes it doesn't sound like it's working.
Well, sometimes it's user error.
Yeah, I have to figure that out. So let me get this straight. So Micah's family can't talk about JP at all anymore. Period. So
that's my understanding, not publicly at least.
You can't talk to the sisters anymore because when they were on that last time, they seemed pretty upset with them. It seemed like they were still really grieving. That's why I was kind of shocked that they went ahead and they settled.
Well, they probably took the advice of their attorney, and I like I said, I reached out to them, and Sierra did respond to me and said that basically she was just going to try to decompress over the next few days, and then they want to start moving forward on trying to get some things changed, and so she would reach out to me then.
I have to get on your show now. I have to get the Piazzas on. So Jim and Evelyn Piazza, they finally settled the last criminal cases for Tim Piazza.
We get them on our show.
Yeah. But, so Tim, Tim died. It was one of our high-profile hazing cases at Penn State University in 2017. And shockingly, the Big Brother and Pledge Master finally took their plea agreements deals today, 7 years later. All this red tape in politics, and it kept getting delayed. So they pled guilty to I forget what it was, manslaughter it might be, and then 14 charges of hazing. They pled guilty. Did you do a film on that? Well, the Piazza, Tim's in Protect the House. He's in my.
Okay. So
so they finally did that. Now the sentencing is October 1st, and I guarantee these kids won't get jail. Watch.
Well, here's what we can do. So they would meet all the parameters. There's a film about their situation, and you're the director producer. So.
Well, I'm a documentary though. We're not scripted, but yeah. I want to go after. I really want to dissect how Hollywood twists stories. I want people to understand. And by the way, there's certain ways a film is talked about that people will know whether it's really a true story where it's loosely interpreted. People should know on how to tell the difference, because so many people will go see a movie and think it's, oh, this is exactly what happened, and like it's 99% made up. They just took the concept of a crime and they tweaked it. But you can always tell by how
dramatic effect,
you know, and
dramatic effect.
And it's always interesting. I always found it interesting. I always wondered how victims' families feel about certain movies. You know, it'd be interesting to have them come on, even like in some respects, like the police officers and the detectives and people that were actually involved, their jurors, hear their perspective of it on how, you know, they feel like they were portrayed, or if that is what really happened.
Did you have your meeting today with our mutual friend?
Yeah.
Did it go well?
Yep.
Okay, I want to hear about that.
We got a lot of stuff going on.
Good.
Yeah, but I mainly been. I meant to call you today. I've just been.
Okay.
I'm in Rosslyn Shell right now, trying to get the driver error done because my our driver error film comes out this week, and they're making changes today. So.
Who are you thinking? Was he the one that played Dahmer?
Yeah. So.
Are you thinking him for the first episode?
I just did a concert film. His band is actually badass. They're called The Driver Error. It's an offshoot of the band.
Oh, that's what you were doing for that. Okay.
I mean, it's phenomenal. We shot it at the Greek. There was like 6,000 people there, and it's amazing. And finally, it's coming out on Veeps.com this weekend. But anyway, you know, he was a Disney actor for years, and then I guess to really change it up, he picked the role playing Jeffrey Dahmer. And
I mean, that's a way to break out of your typecasting.
What's funny, when I talked to like his brothers and his sister and his mother, they said Ross was creepy as shit when he was in that role, because he wanted to channel Jeffrey Dahmer. So like he really like lived like Jeffrey Dahmer. And I guess wherever they shot it in like some of the same locations that the Dahmer stuff really happened, which I find fascinating. So that's why we should get him on. We should get the people involved in that film, but we should also try to get some of Dahmer's either, you know, potential victims or maybe, you know, family members of victims to talk about. Maybe we should dissect that and the most recent Dahmer series that was on Netflix, right? And we should compare, and we should try to see which one was more accurate and which one was just very loosely based on his life. Because I find that I always found that stuff fascinating. Like I know for a fact. So remember that show, The Watcher? So that I grew up in Scotch Plains, New Jersey. The actual house for The Watcher is in Westfield, New Jersey. And I know that when they originally wanted to make the film, they actually met with Westfield and they were trying to get the permits. They actually wanted to film in the actual house. Instead, they couldn't make it work there. The town didn't really want to get involved. They didn't want the unnecessary attention. So they actually shot it in upstate New York. But they still use the name Westfield. So but you know, after that show came out, you know, there were thousands of people driving past the original house and stuff. But it was loosely interpreted, so that they really took a lot of creative freedom on it. The letter writing and all that stuff stopped years ago at the house, but you know, they made it seem like it was still going on because obviously they wanted to have, you know, other years of it or a sequel. But you know, it created havoc around the town, and the town wasn't very happy with the series because too much interest, you know, was you know, drawn up for the wrong reasons. So you know, we can get into The Watcher. I know a lot of people that were involved in that, but you know, I was a lucky little. I went and checked the house out because I wanted to see how accurate it was, what it looked like, and of course, it looks totally different than the house and, you know, the real house, and so it's just, you know. So I love like you know, dissecting how, you know, I know firsthand how Hollywood twists things.
Yeah, so, they're known for it.
Well, I mean, you know, you have to have a little creative freedom, and you know, but no one really knows what happened behind closed doors on things. They can only assume, unless there was someone still alive today and they spoke. Like I can only imagine how the Landrys felt the Petitos felt when they were. When that Lifetime film came out, because they jumped the gun. Like Lifetime made that thing right away.
Yeah, like right after she was found.
They didn't work with the family, so all of like the personal scenes of like the relationship between Brian and Gabby, they just kind of made that shit
up.
Yeah, that's got to be hard. to deal with. You know, I don't know why producers do that. I would never do that if the family wasn't on board. But
Because some people don't care.
You know,
there's a lot of content creators who don't care either, though. That's, I mean, it's everywhere.
In fact, I'm not going to get in because I don't want to criticize it, but the Hazen series coming out on A&E, I think 2 or 3 of the families in it weren't even like consulted. You know, but A&E, they don't need permission. If your child dies, you know, and it's news, anybody, like, we could talk about it. I mean, anybody can do anything on it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just horrible. So, you know, that's why I feel so bad for some of the families that, you know, that I work with, because they're victims themselves, and it's hard enough to lose a child, but to have it done in a public way, and then, you know,
especially with the scrutiny.
Well, yeah, and then imagine a high-profile case. Imagine like Joe Petito, and I mean, imagine when that happened. You're mourning your child's death, and then everywhere you go, you see her face on the news, on newspapers, and then some boneheads are making a movie about her. But Scott Peterson, someone brought. Damn, I want to do the Scott Peterson thing. How many goddamn Lacey movies are made? And now, I don't know if you guys saw what's going on in that case. Have you been following that? Now
I know that there's like the Innocent Project that's going out.
So I know the founder of the Innocent Project, right? Jason doesn't fuck around. They don't take cases on unless.
But this isn't the Innocent Project. This is like the Innocent Project of some area.
Oh. Well, no, but aren't they all affiliated? I thought they're all.
I don't know. You'd have to ask.
No, but the lawyer that took that case on is a bigwig up there too. I mean, and the fact that the judge is even hearing it, there's got to be something there. I know it's really suspicious. There were so many things pointing in the right direction, and he was very smug and stuff like that. But I'm wondering. I mean, this is weird. Like, can you imagine if they got the wrong guy? I mean, that's fascinating. I mean, everybody was quick to throw him under the bus. And, you know, and now it looks like there could be some meat on the bone that he could get an appeal. Holy shitballs.
So are you, real quick, going back to this, are you thinking The Watcher for episode number 1?
No, I like, you know, I think we should go with something that's, more explosive, that sparks more debate, you know?
Valletta Wallace. Or is that just me?
There you go again.
It is, yeah, damn straight it is. And you're going to hear me say it until we do it.
We should do the OJ case and dissect all the movies.
We could do that. That would be almost equally as good.
We can get Cato on. We can get that Mark Furman asshole.
Or get me press passes and send me to the trial in November.
You know what? You want to go? I told you I'm going to try to get you into that. If you really want to go sit through that,
I do. I do really want to go. Yeah. And I'll behave. I won't get involved with anything. I'll behave myself.
Why would you? You've never been. No one's ever known you to not behave. So I would never ever think for 1 minute that you wouldn't behave. So, you know.
Well, fair. Like, I'm not going to go, like, start a bunch of shit with guys that can murder me, is my point.
It's probably going to be televised, right?
I would hope.
See, you don't seem like the type to me that would be obsessed with rap.
Yeah, most people don't think that way, but I grew up in Atlanta. Love rap. Favorite genre.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not
See, that's just now you're just stereotyping.
It drives my son crazy. I refuse to work with rappers.
I mean, I don't blame you for that, because there's a lot of controversy and turmoil around a lot of them.
I'm just, for me, it's not so much that. I just, it's hard to creatively work with someone if you're not, I don't want to say a fan, but you're not like really creatively into what they do. I don't know.
Are you not a rap fan?
Nah.
Even Eminem?
Oh, yeah, Eminem's. I worked with Eminem before. Yeah, there's rappers, and then there's, I even like old Kanye. Like, College Dropout was a great record, but, unfortunately, he just crossed the line, and there's no coming back from what he did.
Which one?
College Dropout, Don. I mean, they're all. Kanye is brilliant. I mean, he actually writes real music behind his rap. I mean, raps. I mean,
Well, so was Pac. Pac was probably the greatest rapper to ever live. Lyrically, he was.
I took my kids to see Travis Scott, and I was in freaking pain the whole time. I appreciated the production. The production was ridiculous. It was at SoFi Stadium. First of all, he never played one song the entire song. It was like
that's the issue with a lot of rap concerts.
And then an air horn, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? They play like one verse.
That's true.
Choruses, everybody goes crazy, and then boom, he stops the song, and I'm like, what? I mean, can you imagine if the Eagles or U2 just stopped the song in the middle of the song, and then
they did? I went to this like summer mixtape 2000. It was like Juvenile and Fat Joe and like Yin Yang Twins, like these amazing rappers, and they did the same shit. But when we saw Ludacris when he was opening up for Janet Jackson, which by the way, we went to that show to see Ludacris, and we left during Janet Jackson, but it was terrible. Her version, that we liked it was terrible. But Ludacris played every single one of his songs.
Yeah, I mean, maybe times are different now, but these new rappers,
I think it just depends on who it is.
And then he went on stage late, and the entire show was 1 hour. And I'm like, this guy just headlined a freaking stadium where people are dropping a few hundred a ticket, and he only performed for an hour. I was like, I mean, if Taylor Swift was 3.5 hours. Like, what is happening? And the kids went nuts. And then my son and daughter waited in line for over an hour to get merch, and the hoodies were $130. And I just don't get the new rappers.
Yeah, it's my Alyssa with some friends of ours. This was a few years ago. Went to a show, and it was like this '80s, early '90s show. And one of the groups that was there was New Kids on the Block, and apparently they pulled out like every song they ever did, including the Christmas album, and played it. It's like June.
By the way, I'm surprised you haven't asked me about it yet. Have you seen Dirty Pop?
No.
Oh shit. You want to, dude, go watch Netflix, Dirty Pop, the Lou Pearlman story. It's #1 right now. I watched it. I binged it over the weekend. Holy
Do you know him?
I met him. What's that?
Is he dead?
Yeah. I mean, I met him back in the Transcontinental days. I mean, that's when I was like really started, and we were doing, like we started doing music DVDs and stuff. But if he was trying to branch, I mean, he was always kind of a weird dude, but like,
he screwed them. He screwed everyone he touched over.
This is the whole thing about it. This is why you have to watch it. So everybody was thinking that he bled NSYNC and Backstreet Boys dry. No, he literally, what was happening was he was literally running like this crazy Ponzi scheme with 3,000 investors who were invested in like fake retirement accounts and all sorts of weird shit. He was using the bands as a way to rope them in. But what came out later about him, which was fucking crazy, is that he sold his soul to BMG. He needed so bad to get Backstreet and NSYNC credibility and get them on a major that he basically gave them to BMG. So when they were blowing up and everything was going great, people assumed that Lou was this mogul and all the money he was getting was from his airline and from the money from NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, when in reality, he didn't make any money on them. He gave them away. BMG was making all the money. It wasn't really him. So all the money he had for all the things he was doing, like private jets and the Rolls Royces, all of that money was coming in because he was scamming people out of their retirement accounts. And
wasn't he Britney Spears' person too?
No, that's the other thing. He said he was, and he had nothing to do with Britney.
So we could talk about that.
There was all these twists in this whole shit. That it's not at all what he was always vilified. People always thought he stole from NSYNC, and by the way, and then when NSYNC and Backstreet sued him to get out of their contract, they paid him $64 million. So they paid him $64 million to get out. If he was stealing from them, they certainly would not have done that. But here's the one thing I'll defend for him, because I know the way this works. Now, it's not right because he was using all this stolen money to develop these acts, right? But he had 2 deals with all the bands, and this is where the controversy came into with the bands. He was double dipping. He was the manager, and I don't know what his deal was, but he was probably getting 15 or 20% off the top. But then he made himself the 6th member of the band. So he was getting equal partnership share, and the way he justified that was because he put millions of dollars in to develop the act. And by the way, managers don't invest money in their acts. Managers' job is to advise and guide. They're not there to bankroll or invest. So he felt like he deserved a partnership stake because of the money he put in.
Well, the money was
Whether it's right or wrong, he did do that. But that's why they weren't successful in suing him. In fact, when they wanted to get out of their deal with him, they had to write him a check to get out.
We can do that story too, and we could get Chris or Lance.
By the way, Chris is in Dirty Pop. I mean, you have to see it. It's crazy. And so
I know I met him like 2 or 3 times, and he's really nice. I like the guy. He's super nice. I mean,
but the story wasn't at all what I thought. But I didn't realize that he was like, I mean, he was running like, and then like he knew the FBI was going to get him, so he like took off. He went on this. He took one of the guys. One of the guys was a band called Natural that he was developing, and he like went on the run with him. But the guy like didn't know he was on the run with him, and like they were flying around the world, and then I guess they eventually arrested him in Bali. But I mean, just a crazy ass story. I mean, it was much nuttier than I thought. I thought it was going to be very black and white. I really thought it was going to be about Backstreet and NSYNC, and I just saw it like he was just keeping all the money and not paying the band. No.
Did you ever watch the Nickelodeon one?
Yeah, that was crazy too.
With Drake, what they did to Drake Bell and everything.
I think it's odd. Did they pull it off? Because I know he eventually it took him a minute there, but he sued now. He's suing for defamation.
He did pretty. Dan Schneider. The thing is people like I don't think like a lot of people think that like they're portraying Dan as a pedophile. Here's the thing: I'll give Dan grace on this. Dan was a toxic individual to work with based on what we saw. He was, but you also have to go back to the time period too, where it was a very different world back then, especially in y'all's industry. But at the same time, when he found out what happened and he called Drake Bell up, he had Drake's back, and he and was like, oh, I'm there for you if you need to. So he might have been a piece of shit overall, but I think he did the right thing in that situation. And there was nothing that they did a couple things to kind of like indicate that he was inappropriate with younger girls, but none of them have ever come out to say anything like that.
But when everybody analyzes all the sexual innuendos and those weird scenes that they were have, I mean, that seems to be undeniable. That's kind of weird shit. I mean, it's definitely creepy. That's why, by the way, if anybody's watching it, don't let your kids act. My daughter wanted to act when she was younger. I wouldn't.
Tell them the story. Tell them that story.
Which was the one with the
soap opera story. Yeah.
I mean, I had a casting director from Young and the Restless saw my daughter at the Irvine Spectrum, and they were looking for a role. My wife's Asian, and so they were actually looking for a kid that could pass off as the daughter of a couple on the show, and they heavily recruited her, and I went out of my way to like call the executive producer, Young and Restless, saying over my dead body, like, don't put that shit in my wife and my daughter's ears. Because here's the thing, like being around, like especially when I used to work with a lot of Dancing with the Stars people, so like I was involved with Dancing with the Stars for like 6 seasons, and there were a bunch of Disney kids that came on. The funny thing is, and the first time I met Ross Lynch, at the end of dinner, I literally looked at him. I said, so I want to know, how come you're not all fucked up? And he started laughing. He's like, what does that mean? And I'm like, I've never met a Disney kid that's not fucked up. Every Nickelodeon and Disney kid I've ever met in adulthood has problems. You just can't give kids that young money and power, but there were a lot of drugs, especially like in the 90s and the early 2000s. There were people giving those kids drugs. Like, I'm not going to mention names, but you could figure out there were a couple of these kids that ended up on Dancing with the Stars as celebrities, and they had, and they had tough, early.
I can name 2. Justin Timberlake is relatively normal, and so is Christina Aguilera. They're both on Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah, and
that's 2.
Amanda Bynes. I mean, for every one you can mention, we can mention 15.
Alanis Morissette.
I mean, you can mention 15, but it's everyone I've ever met are just really screwed up, and it's just like,
there we go. Yeah,
and it's just and even look at the Culkins and stuff like that. I mean, you just can't. And by the way, it's not a child. You don't want to give a kid a childhood like that.
No, we make them. No, that's too much.
I was kind of shocked my daughter didn't go into. My daughter wants to now. She's going to be a paramedic and not a nurse, but. I thought she was going to go in the industry. And my son says he wants to go in the entertainment industry. I have no problem, but I prefer to be behind the scenes. You know, don't go in front of the camera. The pressure is too hard these days. Even what you're doing, I mean, even social media. I mean,
it's social media pain in the ass.
It's tough, you know, when people recognize you. You know, anonymity is a wonderful thing to have. I
always had to behave myself in public because you never know.
I mean, there's not one artist I work with that I would want to trade places with. I mean, I would never want to be, you know, some of the theme that these guys do. Look at Johnny Depp. I mean, Johnny can't leave the house.
Yeah, I wouldn't want Johnny's level of fame. I feel like my level of fame is perfect because, like, I get recognized enough that it's fun, but not enough that I'm worried about people being creepy. Like, we were at dinner the other night, and somebody comes up to me, you know, one of my followers, and she introduces herself. And then the people at the table next to me is like, I knew that was you. So I was like, okay, that's
what? One day it's not going to be fun because one day you're going to talk about a dude that's been accused of a crime or something. Like the JP thing could have went the other way. I mean, you know, whatever it is, I don't know if he's watching right now or not, but you know, a lot of people are saying some weird shit about the dude, and it's a little unsettling when he's calling you and texting you. I mean,
yeah, but you know, here's the thing about what I'm going to say about JP Miller. Okay, like I recognize growing up in a narcissistic household, I recognize things, but JP has been nothing but incredibly nice to me. I will say that.
I know, but
I know
still some weird shit going on with him, and you know, I don't know if I'd want someone like that calling me.
And we have the same car, so there's that.
Just leave it at that, right? And so it's like you know, I may have. I'll you know what? I'll take it. I'd rather have Chad Kroger or Johnny Depp call my house than JP Miller.
Oh, I would. You know what? You're welcome to give Johnny Depp my number. And he can call my house.
We were at dinner in Nashville, and I looked at Alyssa, and she was like, you know, a little uncomfortable about the fact that you were texting with him.
Who with who?
It's a little bizarre.
Oh, JP?
Yes.
Yeah. No, Alyssa does not like that. No.
So it's like, you know, and one day, you know, at a certain point, you'll probably, you know, it sucks. You have a big following, and at one point, they talk about a case, and someone may not like it. So it's just.
Well, that's why it's important to try to remain as neutral as we can, given the facts that we have. Although I got one I'm working on right now. Oh man, it's
nice. Sorry, someone said Manson's nice to people. Are you talking about Marilyn Manson?
Charles.
That's him.
So Marilyn Manson went into a method acting type of thing, and he's never come out.
By the way, people ask me who's the biggest asshole I've ever worked with.
Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, with 100%.
Who's the second? Because I've heard Billy Corgan's pretty bad.
He was tough.
So here, I'll tell you. So our mutual.
He was more weird. He's a nice guy. He's just weird.
So our mutual friend. Okay, I'll tell you two stories, separate stories from Billy Corgan. So our mutual friend that we know. Okay. He used to be a guitar tech, and he one day was working for Billy Corgan. Billy Corgan brought in like 50, 100 guitars, and he was trying to get them all set up. And apparently, his private chef was there, and he made lunch. Long story short, this guy had been with him for a while. This private chef, and apparently, he leaned over to his guy and told him that he needed to fire the chef because there were too many white things on his plate, like white foods on his plate. Now, on a similar note. My jukebox guy is in Chicago, and yes, I go ahead and say whatever you want about that. But my jukebox guy is in Chicago, and he works on my Seabird, and Billy Corgan lives in Chicago, and he's got Seabird.
He lives out by Ravinia.
Yeah. So apparently, my jukebox guy has serviced his Billy Corgan's jukebox before, but he will not do it anymore because apparently, the last time he had gone there, Billy was actually home. And Billy's like, I guess, butler or assistant, whatever it was, says, okay, well, Billy's home. He's going to be in the room. You're not allowed to look at him. You're not allowed to make eye contact with him. And Ed, the guy who works at Jukebox, he's like old school. He's like in his 70s, and he's just like, you know, he's here for a good time, not a long time kind of guy. And you're not going to tell, he's like, no, fuck this. I don't need that. I got more business than I can shake a stick at. So he's like, I'm not working on it anymore. I don't care who the fuck you are.
Some artists do that because they fuck with people. And by the way, some are like that. Maybe they just don't want to be dealt with, but like if he has that I don't give a shit attitude, some artists may actually like him even more, because you'd be shocked how many people will actually listen to that and kiss people's asses. But no, I'm trying to think, like, when I was with Billy. So I did a movie with him called If All Goes Wrong, which was about kind of the relaunch of the band in 2008, and it was a time with the Smashing Pumpkins where they were having kind of an identity crisis, where Billy wanted to write deeper songs. He didn't really want to write like the rock pop hits anymore. He actually was more in a folk time, and so he went to Asheville, North Carolina, and he holed up at the Biltmore estate. And we were there for we were at the Biltmore for like a month and a half, and like 6 weeks. And then we did a residency at this club in Nashville called the Orange Peel, where the band did like 20 shows. And I filmed all 20 shows, and we did all the doc footage. But Billy's like schedule would be, he would wake up like organically in the morning. It's all in the movie. Like, he wears like a woman's nightgown to sleep. It's really weird. But he wakes up, and the first thing in the morning, he picks a guitar up and he starts to write a song. He's like inspired in his sleep, and then he'll work on that song all day. And then at 1 o'clock, we'll go to the venue and we'll do a 3 or 4 hour sound check rehearsal with the band, teach them the song, and then they play the song that night for the crowd. The problem was, he was making songs that weren't very Smashing Pumpkins. It wasn't very goth or alternative rock, and the fans were rebelling. And so Billy started rebelling on them, which was kind of funny. And it was awkward for me to be in the middle. We're there like trying to film it, and the fans were like throwing shit at them. And he would walk off stage. And then what we did is we left Asheville, and then he went to San Francisco. We did the same thing, and he thought San Francisco was going to be the place where everyone would want to listen to new music. No one cared about the new music. They just want to hear the hits. So Billy would
Nobody wants to hear new. When you're a band like that, nobody wants to hear your new shit.
Yeah, and even the diehards. And so Billy would then say, if you don't want to listen to my new music, then we're not going to play the hits. And so he didn't play the hits. And so he would do a show and not play one hit, and then people would like boo. It was the most awkward few months of my life. Because I'm like, oh, cool, I'm going to direct the Smashing Pumpkins. We're going to make a movie and this great career. And then he didn't, like, the whole thing. So we ended up calling the movie If All Goes Wrong, because his big plan to bring the band back was like met with all this resistance, and it was like this fucking tsunami, and like everything was crumbling around him. Like at the time, like Billy's assistant quit, and it was like this tumultuous, weird movie. But to his credit, we didn't sugarcoat it. He kept the band in there. He let us like have temper tantrums, and he never once like was like influenced how we edited it or anything. I mean, so that's why I don't know if he maybe told people don't look him in the eye. He's never been like that. He's not afraid of confrontation, but definitely an interesting dude.
Yeah, he does. Do you know about the Diddy remix of Ava Adore or Puff Daddy?
Really?
This is such an incredibly cool story.
What was that?
So in 1998, Puff Daddy did like a remix of Ava Adore, okay?
Wow.
But nobody knew it existed until 2014.
I wonder if he has to pay Billy money like he has to do Sting.
That's my favorite Diddy story. But I'm like, really, you're so rushed to get this song out after Biggie dies that you forget to get permission to use the song. Like, you're one of your biggest hits, whatever. But anyway, it's actually the thing about Diddy is, yeah, he's an asshole, but he's a talented asshole for the most part. And the remix was pretty good. I dig it. So if you want to, it's a you can Google it. And I can send it to you. Although if I text you, you'll probably never listen to it.
A lot of people don't notice, but now Versus is over at X. But I was brought in a couple years ago, and I was producing Versus for Triller, and we did like 4 episodes. But one of the ones we were working on, the last Versus that we were actually working on, they were going to do Bad Boy versus So Def. That was really going to happen, and it was going to be at Madison Square Garden. There was going to be
I would love that.
And Puffy, and they were going to bring all of the So Def and all of the Bad Boy artists, and there was this big thing, and it came so close to happen, and we were in pre-production, and then I guess Diddy was like demanding something ridiculous, like 8 figures, and Triller actually was going to, I think, pay him something significant, but they ended up not coming to terms on whatever it was, and so they pulled the plug on it. But and maybe because of everything going on right now, who knows? But yeah,
I'm sure that's part of it.
think of all the hits between both of their artists. I bet you, Bad Boy probably would have won that. I don't know. So Def doesn't have. They're not the same level of hits, right?
I don't know. Ludacris is So Def, right? And like he alone.
You don't know who's on. You should be able to recite the So Def.
I would imagine that. I think Yin Yang probably is part of So. I'm gonna Google it. Usher probably.
So they were apparently getting everybody together. This was going to be a big deal. It was going to be a massive thing. And now it'll never happen because Versus isn't Witch Over anymore. They're over at. They did a deal with Elon Musk. They sold their souls, but now with Diddy going down, I doubt you're going to see that.
So Def had who else did they have? They had Jermaine Dupri, Little Bow Wow. That's not going to Jagged Edge. I guess Ludacris wasn't on there. So the Franchise Boys, those were good, but for just a minute. I mean, the biggest one that they're going to have is Jermaine Dupri. Maybe they had TLC for a moment, but that you can't do TLC anymore. Cash Now, if you could get Cash Money Records, that would be a good one.
Yeah, not my vibe.
It's totally my vibe.
Really? I'm a rock guy.
Yeah, that's fine. I like rock too, but I can like both.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I'll give you something that's fun. You know what we could talk about on one of the episodes? So there's a theory, okay? It's a conspiracy theory. So before you roll your eyes, hear the whole thing, all right? That Jim Morrison didn't OD, that he was actually murdered. Okay? And it's a fun theory. And it was funny. I was actually on the phone with Kyler talking about this. Like,
I got a fun theory. That's not fun.
But, look, I mean, he's dead already. Adding an air of mystery to Jim Morrison's death would be much more. Him being murdered would be better than him ODing.
With Robbie Krieger like 2 months ago. We interviewed him for the Vampires film.
So our mutual friend got stabbed at Robbie Krieger's house multiple times.
By the way, so he told me the story because when Robbie came to record for Vampires, Kyler left because he didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Because he's scared of him.
He almost died.
Yeah, I know. He told me that whole story. It's like, what the fuck? I mean, by the way, that's the most rock star story I've ever heard in my life. I mean, I would be talking about that all the time. That's epic. I can't believe I never heard that story, but it's nuts.
Yeah, no, he almost. I was talking. So, anyways, he was on speakerphone with Alice in the background, and and I'm talking to her like, hey, you should do this podcast episode, because getting him to do a podcast episode is miserable because he's like, you see how he is. We've talked about it, but I was like, we could do this, and so he's on speaker and he looks back. He's talking to Alice. He goes, my friend Justin thinks that that there's a theory basically that Jim Morrison could have been could have been killed. What do you think about that? And Alice, because Alice is pretty quick, without missing a beat. So nobody had to kill Jim. He's like, he was doing a pretty good job by himself.
And and I bet you Alice knew him. Alice was a baller.
Alice did know him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm serious. Like the biggest takeaway that I did from working on that film, when I started that, I had no idea. Like, Alice Cooper was like the Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton of the early '70s.
Has he told you his Salvador Dali story?
Yeah, he was the epicenter. Like every major celebrity in Hollywood in the music industry would go hang out with Alice Cooper.
Do you know his Andy Warhol story?
Well, there's a few.
The one about the painting. Okay, so
I don't know that one. But...
Alice frequented 54 because clearly the hard rock guy likes disco. But he frequented 54 and Andy Warhol frequented 54. And there was always this rumor apparently that Andy Warhol had given him this painting, and Alice was like, no, that never happened. But also, like, I would give Kyler albums for Alice to sign, and he'd be like, oh, he doesn't remember even recording this album. So, the drugs were good back then, I guess. But anyway, so when they were getting ready to move Alice's mom into a new home or facility, wherever they moved her before she passed, in her garage, they found a tube where they rolled up long-lost Andy Warhol painting, which he sent to the Rock Hall to hang, and then, of course, fucking sold it, because that's what he does, for like $10 million.
Wow.
This like
That's
No, that's a rock.
By the way, if I had a Warhol, I would sell that shit in a minute too, because it's not worth the millions of dollars. I'd rather get the millions of dollars than have it sit on my wall.
Yeah, but he's got millions of dollars.
Did I ever tell you my Studio 54 story?
Did you go to 54? You're not old enough to go to 54.
So, I am the product of a one night stand from Studio 54.
It's amazing.
I thought, I was adopted, and I finally found my birth father and mother 4 years ago. And my dad was a doorman at Studio 54. My mother was going there partying, and they hooked up, and I was a one-night stand from Studio 54, and I got put up. So that's very rock and roll. So at least it's kind of a...
That's not, no, Dan, that's very disco.
Well, I know, but it's very, very rock and roll in the sense that, my dad was moonlighting as a doorman. And
look at that. You could have met Alice back then, and you didn't even know it.
But everybody went there. So I'm like, you know what? I'll take that. That's a great way to, that explains it all.
And if for some reason y'all don't know what Studio 54 was, look it up. It was the nightclub of all nightclubs.
So
hey, so
I was conceived after a night of partying at Studio 54.
Probably a lot of drugs too.
That could explain a lot.
So you connected with them, and did y'all become like friends or whatever?
No, not with I never met my mother. She didn't want to meet me, but my father and I have a great relationship. I mean, I have my adoptive parents, and they're my parents. They raised me. They're wonderful. I had a beautiful life growing up, and then, but I always wanted to know where I was from. And so I finally found my birth father, and kind of tied it all together. And turns out on my father's side, I have four half brothers, and I developed relationships with them. And then I have a sister and a brother on my mother's side. I'm very close to my sister. I saw her last week. We actually went to Santa Barbara with her. My brother, I've never met, and I don't think I will meet him. He's let's just say we don't have a lot in common.
All right. I think I'm picking up what you're putting down.
And so, well, he was indicted in January 6th.
Oh, interesting.
But it's on an extreme level. Like it turns out he's a Proud Boy, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to go visit him with the kids. So,
no.
But I have a great relationship with my sister. But it's been really cool just to, and then we picked up like dozens of like nieces and nephews and uncles and aunts. And so I have this whole extended family. So I already had a big Italian family, and now I have another big Italian family. So it's just been pretty freaking wild to get to know this.
That is pretty wild.
Yeah. But then I found out the story. My dad was going through a divorce. He moved back in New York City. He was working for Hugh Hefner as his hairdresser during the day at the Playboy Club and other things, and then he was bouncing at Studio 54 at night. And I was a one-night stand at Studio 54.
I bet he's got some great stories. I bet he has some incredible stories. That's fun. Although New York in the 70s was rough.
I don't know if it's rough. The 80s were rough in New York, like the Koch years. When my dad,
I was reading because I've started doing this whole research on this Debbie Harry thing with Bundy, and it was reading about how apparently starting in 75 they would give tourists at the airport don't ever go outside after 6 p.m. if you're in the 5 boroughs.
By the way, whoever that is saying they gave up a son for adoption, bravo to you. I'm sure it was a tough decision, but it was the right move. I'm very lucky to live the life I did, and that my mother had the courage to give me up because she knew she couldn't take care of me, and it's a tough thing. But I hope you find your son. Go on Ancestry. That's how it happened for me. So, but
Alyssa's mom found a sister that way. So
yeah, I was on 23andMe. So I started trying to look. So around 2009, it was right around the time I did Creative. I was in Florida. So what happened is I just decided one day I wanted to know where I was from because I was sick and tired of going to the doctor. And every time I go to the doctor, I can't answer family history questions, and they would always have to run every test. And I'm like, you know what? I just want to know where I'm from. So originally it was I wanted to find out who my birth family was, mainly for medical reasons and just to know my roots. And I hired a private investigator. And I remember doing the first call with them. I was actually at the Four Seasons in Miami with Creed when on the beach as I did the first interview. And I remember I had all this hope that, okay, this is it. I'm going to find my parents. And biggest waste of money in the world, because I was born in New York, and New York was the only state that had sealed adoption records. So big waste of money, big jerk off. That went nowhere. I remember being let down. And then flash forward a few years later, 23andMe came out. So I did the 23andMe thing. And the only thing I got were like some hits with like fifth cousins, fourth cousins. And I would reach out to them saying, hey, I was adopted. I was born in 1971 in Yonkers, New York. No one helped me. We couldn't figure it out. So flash forward now till 2020. Well, actually, it's early 2021. Over Christmas, we were in Dubai doing the Kiss show. And I kept getting blasted with like 50% off from Ancestry. And I think I got like 15 emails in like 4 days. And it was so annoying. I'm like, fuck it. I'm gonna buy it. It's $59. What the hell?
Their marketing campaign clearly worked.
So we get home from like a trip from Dubai, and like we're jet lagged. And I go to my office downstairs, and my wife comes. Are you coming to bed? And I'm like, yeah, I'll be up in a minute. She goes, what are you doing? I go, oh, I'm doing it. I'm subscribing to Ancestry. She's like, didn't you already do that? I said, no, it was 23andMe. You never know. And then the kit came, and then I sat on the kitchen counter for like 2 weeks, and then I finally spit in it and I sent it back. And I forgot about it. And then I remember one day I got an email that my results are in, and I didn't even open it. I waited like a whole nother week, and I'm like, shit, you know what? Let me open up the app and see what's on. And then bam, the second I opened it up, it said match, and it said father. I'm like, what? And, so like, and then there was other siblings. And so the Ancestry database is like 5 times the size of 23andMe. I thought they were kind of the same. Ancestry, I just had all sorts of hits, but I was able to trace, so many relatives and then put it all together. And so it was nice just to be able to do that, because now I feel complete. I never had any resentment towards my parents for giving me up. They'd end up doing the right thing. I joke with all my half brothers now and my sister that I was the lucky one, because I grew up in this tremendously stable family. My dad worked for AT&T. My mom was a teacher. Family vacations every year, like no drama. Whereas like all my brothers and sisters, they kind of like, they moved around a lot. There was divorces. There was like a lot, it wasn't an easy life. And
That adds character, Dan.
Yeah, well,
My dad's been married 7 times. So,
Really? Is that true?
That's 100% true.
7?
7.
How long is the average marriage?
Well, I don't know, but here's how it goes. Okay.
You don't know. You don't know how long your dad was married for with people?
No, because a couple years. This one's been his longest one yet.
What's that?
I think he's at like 7 or 8 years now.
Is he just difficult to get along with, or he just can't make his mind up?
Yes, he's very difficult to get along with. He says that he's not, but he's very self-absorbed.
Why does he marry people? He actually gets married. Jesus Christ.
So there was his first wife, where I have a half sister from. That was Vicky, and then my mom, and then apparently my mom again. So we're counting that twice, because my brother and I have the same parents, but are from different marriages. Mm-hmm. And then he married Cynthia. Then he married, oh my God, what was her name?
I didn't mean to laugh at it. I'm just like, holy shit.
Barbara.
By the way, Barbara. This is very California of your dad, but go on.
Barbara sucks. Like, she's just the absolute fucking worst. Then, technically, he wasn't married to Deborah, but it was common law because he was with her for 10 years. And now he's married to, oh my God, Roxana.
Wow. I don't know. I know people that after the second marriage don't want to get married again. I don't know why he keeps getting married.
No. She's getting all the inheritance though, so that's fine.
If he was in California, then he's the California community property state. He would have been screwed. He would have been bankrupt. That's crazy.
Well, he's really good at hiding his assets. So.
Oh, holy moly!
Yeah.
That is crazy. That's 7 marriages. And
my mom had 3. Well, 4 if you count my dad twice. which I'm counting him twice.
So in my family, it's really weird. I'm a very traditional New Jersey Italian family. No one's ever been divorced. It's like no one gets divorced. Do
you see this? Hold on. Do you see this comment? Hold on. My brother's mother-in-law has been married 18 times.
How can you be married 18 times?
Can't get married again in Oklahoma. She's done.
How many licenses you can get? Who the hell?
Well, she says she can't get married in Oklahoma anymore. She's done.
Oh yeah, they banned her. They're like, oh my god, holy shit! I didn't even know. By the way, that you should get that person on your show.
God, I don't think I want that person on my show. This is. I got to go to bed soon. Every time you come on, you're trouble. Hold on.
I know lots of people out here. Like, it's not unusual to know people in California. They're married 3 times. But look, I've been married 25 years. You know that?
Holy shit! Listen to this. As of March 24, Larry and David Blair of Hendersonville, Tennessee, hold the Guinness World Record for most marriage renewals with 109 I do's over 30 years of marriage. They live in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Their first ceremony was in California.
See, that's why I don't want to move to Hendersonville. So you can.
Oh, she passed away, which broke their streak. Now, for the most married woman in the world was apparently 23 times. Her first marriage was at 16, while her last was in 96.
Wow. I get 2, 3, even 4. I don't mean 8 times, 10 times. Holy shit!
Like just have a long-term partner.
I just wouldn't get married again. I mean,
just have a long-term partner.
Yeah, but some I know. Who was it? One of my good friend's son has been with his fiance, but they've been together for like 13 years. They have 2 kids, and then she posted the other day, Blake's engaged. And I'm like, what? And then I thought they were married this whole time. I guess they were just dating it. It's never made it official. I don't know. I'm like that. I like making things official. Like my wife and I only dated. I think we dated 10 months before we were engaged.
Oh, we're 5 years.
That's a long day. But
Alyssa's family, nobody gets divorced, and in my family, everybody gets divorced. So I was a little gun shy.
Same with me. With Mandy's family, they all get divorced, but no one in my family's ever been. My parents have been married 66 years.
Long time.
Yeah, I've been married 25. Yeah, and then the old New Jersey Italian thing. When you buy a house, that's your house. Like most people, back in especially in the 50s, 60s, they would buy houses when you're almost right out of high school, and you would get married young, you buy a house at 19, 20, and then that's your house, and you live in that house forever. And if
Alyssa's grandparents did that. They had one house.
A lot of money, you put an addition on the house, or you buy a boat or a summer house, but that's your damn house. And my parents still live in the same house. They've been in the house they're in right now 60 years. They've been in it. My sister lives with them to take care of them because they both have dementia and Alzheimer's. But they've had that house 60 years now.
Wow.
It's crazy. And it's out here in California, I move every couple of years. No one can, it's just, here in California, everybody gets divorced, but, it's almost unheard of that a house, that you stay in forever. But I kind of miss that about the East Coast. That was that's a very East Coast thing, but
very old thing. I don't know if it's so much anymore, but
clearly not. Especially with people getting divorced 8 times. I don't know if you could possibly. No one could keep.
My dad lives in Miami, so that's close enough to California.
Yeah, well, sort of. Lifestyle-wise, maybe not.
My dad's like every good Jew. He was born in New York, and then they moved from Brooklyn to Miami.
Well, that was the life I always wanted to have. So
the Jewish life.
I want to live like a New Jersey Jew, where you have the condo in South Florida for the winter, and then you're in New Jersey, and we still may do that. We were thinking about it. We have the place in Nashville, one in California, but eventually we'll get rid of California, and maybe we'll have New Jersey and Nashville, and we'll do Jersey Shores in the summer. I miss Jersey Shores.
So you want to know something where my dad's family really fucked up? Are you pretty familiar with Miami?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know if you go to Coconut Grove, right? There's the street when you first get into Coconut Grove. There's a building that kind of it's like a triangle, and it goes this way as it opens up. You know what I'm talking about? Where their shops are.
Yeah.
So my grandparents owned that entire building
Holy shit!
in the 30s and 40s and 50s.
Oh my god! You know what that'd be worth now?
Like $11 million, yeah, at least.
Probably more, way more.
It was 11 million like 15 years ago, yeah. So, and to give you, here's a fun fact too. So my dad will be 80 next year. Okay, my grandparents,
Time
my
for
dad,
another marriage. Sorry.
huh?
Time for another marriage.
Yeah, I think he likes this one, but he was born in 1945 and he was a change of life baby. Which means he was unexpected. His sister was born in like 27 or 28, and his brother in like 33. Anyways, my grandparents, who I never met, my grandfather was born in 1898, and my grandmother in 1903.
Wow.
Never met him.
Wow.
So
I was lucky. I had all four of my grandparents. Their first grandparent died when I was 21. But I had the other three until the next one died in my late 20s, and then I had two all the way up until my mid to late 30s. I was very lucky to have even my parents. My parents in their mid 80s, and even though they have dementia now, they're still alive. And I'm 52, and I still have both my parents.
So I had my grandfather until I was 16, and my grandmother's still alive.
Wow.
She's 90. She's 91.
Oh, you have good genes.
Yeah, she's got like she's one of 12, and half her brothers and sisters are still alive too. They're all in their 90s, just about. A couple of them in their 80s, but most are in their 90s. Still living alone, independent. My grandfather dropped dead at 69 of an aneurysm, so we'll see how it's going to go. It's a crapshoot.
One of the interesting things, I spent time with my obviously my biological sister last week. It was a little scary. I found out that my grandfather on my mother's side, he died at 50 of a heart attack.
That's scary.
Yeah. See, these are the things like you want to know because, like, every time I would go to the doctor, and I'm always in the fucking ER. I get hurt all the time. I'm getting sick all the time. Everything. And when you can't answer questions about your family history, they end up keeping your ass in there, and they end up poking you with everything known to man. They have to do every test like out there because you can't answer family history questions.
Yeah.
And so it's like that's all.
I got a test. Yeah, I get it.
So now at least I know. I didn't know my maternal grandfather died of a heart attack, young. So I got to be watch that shit. And my dad, his heart's all fucked up. It's like we just have all this crazy shit in the family. So it's nice to know all this stuff, though. It
is. I will say this though. I do feel very lucky to still be 42 and still have a grandparent left.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. Shit. That's can't complain about that.
My brother's 49, so he'll be 49 this year. So he's getting old. He'll be 49 this year.
It's probably pretty common in Georgia, right? People people have babies younger there, right?
Well, my grandmother, she got married, I think, at 16 and first kid at 18. Then another one at 19. Then another one at 20. Then another one at 22. Wow. And then another one at 31.
Wow.
30, yeah. No, 30. And then she was done.
Wow.
But my grandparents weren't from Georgia. They were from Miami. She grew up in Hialeah.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Well, actually, here's some fun stories actually about this. So her family, the homestead originally was in Glenville, Georgia, but that was for the first half of the kids. Then they moved to Miami, and my great grandfather, his wife died. Her mother died at like the age of 42 or 43, something like that, very young. So like 12 kids by that age. Figure that out. But then they moved to Hialeah. He worked at the racetrack. My grandfather, I believe, was born in Miami, but his older brothers and sisters were born in St. Louis because my great-grandfather was one of the Teamsters. And apparently around the same time, like, shit started going down with Hoffa, he packed up the whole house and moved to Miami.
Probably a smart move.
Because he was, like, really good friends with Hoffa. He died, my great-grandfather died on the courthouse steps in Miami.
Ended up with Hoffa.
Huh?
Could have ended up with Hoffa if he didn't.
Could have ended up with Hoffa. That's another movie we could do. do?
Yeah, we're not going there.
Well, you don't want to do the
Yeah,
crime
I think the
families?
older I get wiser. There's certain topics and people I'm staying away from.
You're Italian. They bring you in.
No, yeah. Well, the problem is maybe I know too much. So we are not talking. We're not talking about Hoffa.
Yeah. All right. No Hoffa for us. Gotti? We do Gotti?
No, we're staying away from all that shit.
You know, you never let me do any of the fun stuff.
No. I just, I'm becoming risk adverse as I get older. I'm trying to stay away from drama.
The Mafia's fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Yeah.
They have legit businesses.
You know what? Why don't we do the whole realm? We'll go through. We'll do ISIS. We'll do Al Qaeda. We can get real Al Qaeda members on. It'd be great, wouldn't it?
Listen.
Why don't we try to do a podcast tomorrow and bring Hamas on? We can talk to those fools.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I know you're being funny right now, but seriously, what if we were to get like the Gambino crime family on with like the Southside Compton Crips and Suge Knight? We could be making magic happen.
When you say magic, I'm trying to think, what is the magic about having those?
Somebody's going to die, is all I know. And I hope it's not either of us.
I've had my fair share of run-ins with dudes like that. I'm done with that, man. I'm trying to live a quiet life. Trying to go out to the country and Nashville and just live my life, and you're trying to you want to deal with Suge Knight.
I just find it fascinating. That's all.
Yeah, it is. And you can read a book, or you can, there's lots of documentaries you can watch.
Yeah, I suppose.
You have a kid now.
Yeah, I know. I can't go get tied up. We should.
Someone said we should get the anonymous people on here.
They're anonymous, though. How do we get them?
They'll shield themselves.
They'll let us know.
They'll
let us know. I think I'm going to go to bed because I'm tired.
Yeah, it's after midnight there. You always do these late night things. But
well, this is the sub live, so.
Well, tomorrow's my last crazy day, but then Thursday I'm kind of free, and then Friday I fly. I'm going through New Jersey before I get out there. But let's try to catch up tomorrow so I can tell you about all the other stuff.
Yeah, I feel like though I need a job at your company, just be on the payroll enough that they can fly me to LA.
Why? We're coming out to you. No one's going to be in LA anymore. We're all.
Yeah, I guess.
Based in New York, and
Natasha's still going to be in LA.
No, we're still gonna have people. I'm still gonna have my house here, but dude, LA is a shit show right now. And
but it's fun when you don't get to.
I've lived out here more than any other place in my life. My wife just reminded me because I've been out since '95, and I love California. I love the weather, but it's just so bad now. I mean, it's really expensive to live here.
I get that. I don't want to live there. I just want to visit.
Yeah, and it's just it's just bad. It's bad. I mean, it's not the same.
Look, just put me up in a hotel in Beverly Hills.
Look, you can come out whenever you want. You should come back with me. So I fly back on the 16th. You should come back because when I get back, Alice Cooper's here.
Look, I'm happy to go. Well, first of all, I'm going to Florida.
And we can get Kyler and Alice on. We'll go I was going to go straight from the airport right to Alice's show, so you're more than welcome to,
But I'm going to Santa Rosa Beach, though. I think on the 17th or 16th.
We talked about that, didn't we?
But I would be happy to go. We need to get this podcast going so I can make money. Then I can afford to fly out to California because I've taken such a huge pay cut doing this. Either I need to go back to work or get something else.
We're trying to get Justin to rebrand so he gets TikTok out of his name because we don't know where TikTok's going to be in a year. And then we're also trying to get him to open up a Patreon and go other places where he can monetize. Because just so you guys know, and I'm going to stick up for Justin here. You may have 1.5 million followers, but the monetization right now on TikTok is not there with anybody. And so it's very hard to make a living even with this many followers there. So we're trying to get people to go other places to see him and get more unique and do these other side things. So,
which I appreciate, obviously. And I need to get some kind of a marketing plan around the books because I have a third one that's about ready to go to publishing, and I would much rather put it with a different publisher. But I right now I have to go with the same one because I don't have anybody else.
Yeah, well, you need a publisher, like a real one. So, yeah.
Well, I know that. Well, we can talk about that tomorrow or whatever.
People follow. See, people are going to follow you. You have a loyal following.
Well, I know they will, and then they do. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we love it when Dan's on. Why do you think I called him and said, "Hey, let's do a podcast together"? Because he's fascinating. And he's entertaining, and we have good chemistry together.
You would have loved me years ago. I was a lunatic. I'm super boring now. I don't really do anything.
I would have been fun with you as a lunatic.
So,
but like our conversations flow very well, so I think that it works out well.
I'll show you something funny just to say good night because you get a kick out of this. Where is this?
Is it one of the Emmys I'm going to steal from you?
No, I had to hide it.
And claim it out as my own?
So I can't remember from what video, but like I have tons of prop money in the house. This is this is fake. This is not real. All right. You see, it says copy on it. So somehow my son found the prop money, and and he's been obviously making his own videos of flexing, but decided to play a joke on my wife, and he put a couple fake hundreds in my wife's wallet, and my wife didn't know, and then my wife goes to the store and just takes 100 out and gives it to him, and like they were actually. They were giving my wife shit for giving a fake 100. And
that's hilarious.
Talking about it, like Dylan put it in there as a joke. But I'm like, dude, really? I mean, it looks real. I mean, it's just.
It does look real from here.
It's just, I mean, it has all the stripe. This is so when you see money in rap videos and in movies, it's this. The only difference is it says copy real close. These are all fake bills. But they look real, right?
It does look real.
Yeah.
It's very convincing. I still don't even see the word copy on it, but I believe you.
Right in the corner.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so you don't see it on the video.
Yeah, so when they're fanning the money out, though, they usually have their hands over that, so you can't see.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. But I'm like, Dylan, you're going to get mom in trouble. You can't do that. It's like
yeah, you can, that's a federal crime.
No. I know, and they don't care that you have a 12-year-old that was just playing a fucking joke on his mother.
Yeah.
No, not cool.
No. Hopefully you had a talking to.
Well, yeah, and I'm obviously going to get rid of all this because I don't need it. I don't know. I mean, I kept it because I thought it was funny, but it's like
Can I have some?
We were doing it. It was we used to do a lot of music videos. This was a rap video. I don't do rap anymore.
I want some.
So you know what?
I want it.
You should produce rap videos. I'm going to teach you how to be a producer. That could be a second career for you.
Producers don't do anything but get their name on something, right?
No, executive producers I mean, not my producers. We work our tails off. I mean,
look,
what it is. You should come out. Actually, when are you going to Santa Rosa?
Hold on, like August 16th, 17th.
Because I'm doing a TV commercial.
I was in a TV commercial. Did you know that?
I can't remember mention what video game, but it's for a very big video game, and like we have the FaZe Clan guys in it. We have a funny Marco. We have this other influencer, Jordan. I forget her name, some blonde girl. But you should come to set and come hang out. You could see us do a TV commercial. I'll teach you.
That would be fun, but I can't afford the flights. That's what I'm saying to you, and I'm not gonna let you pick that up. So
you're going to Santa Rosa, California, right?
No, I'm going to Santa Rosa, Florida.
Oh,
and I'm driving.
Oh, I think you're in Santa Rosa, California.
No, I'm driving. So I leave. So my sister-in-law has a bridal shower on August 17th. So we're leaving for Atlanta on the 16th. And then after the bridal shower, we're heading down to Florida, checking in, and we check out on the 22nd.
You want to see something cool? I got this today. So this made me feel good. This was about all the work we do in Hazen. So I got a thing from WVU to donate money and renew my gift. And one of the things you can do is it says the Nolan Birch Emergency Fund. So they created a fund. I don't know if you see that. So
that's awesome.
They're trying to get money now, but they put a fund to give money to onlookers and people that were affected by Hazen. And this isn't like the just general WVU solicitation to help out. And so they've expanded and they're doing stuff now. So that's more the impact of something we did like 8 years ago. Now they're still out there raising money. So hats off to them. I was actually really happy to see that today.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's hard work paying off.
The bullshit from like the whole Penn State thing is just a load of crap. I mean, the fact that those parents, that Jim and Evelyn, had to wait 7 years. They haven't even done the civil case yet because they can't do the civil case till the criminal case is over. There's
Makes
a reason
sense.
why most states have a statute of limitations, and the reason for the statute of limitations is because people's memories fade over time. And 7 years is a long time for people to try to remember my details. And so now that the civil case is finally over, now I mean it's the criminal case. Now they can start the civil, but it's like, how effective is the civil case going to be? Because fucking, it's been 7 years. By the time they get the trial with the civil case now, it'll be 9 years. Horrible.
Yeah.
Listen, you need to go to bed.
I am.
Your fish okay? I just want to make sure.
This one's not doing too great right now, so I had to move him to another little tank. The beta.
How's Linda Oaks doing? Linda's doing great. We're actually filming. If anybody out there is in Virginia, come support them on August 16th. So, oh shit. It's the same damn Sister Alice Cooper saga. No, August 17th. Sorry, August 17th at Lynchburg University. The Oaks are going to be there speaking to the student body, and they're getting a big award. They're getting honored for being like activists of the year. And we're filming the whole thing for the finale, for their finale scene in my film. But Linda's actually going to come, and she doesn't go. I don't know if anybody. Oh my God, I haven't talked about them. Since I had the Oaks on and I talked about them, we won an Emmy for their film.
I knew that.
Yeah, but they don't know. Someone asked, but
I was supposed to go to that.
yeah, we won, and we did invite Justin. We invited Justin to sit with us at the Emmys, and he didn't show up
Because the dog was.
I know you have a. This is it. See, death of a pledge. So we actually won. But Linda came, which is a big deal because I don't know if you guys noticed, Linda Oaks doesn't really go out. She's really just heartbroken, and so that's so nice you sent her a Mother's Day card. I'm telling you, she probably appreciated that more than you know. But so she's coming out again to shoot this